Good morning, wEva Toby. How are
Good
you?
morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fine. I'm just fine.
Thank you so
God is
much.
good.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, let's learn a little bit about this beautiful woman right here. Eva, where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in Southfield, Michigan. Good old Southfield. Go Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Um, and I went to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, where I got two of my degrees, a bachelor's and a master's, and then recently
Isn't that wonderful?
obtained an MBA at Eastern Michigan.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
my
We
school.
have a connection.
Oh, we have a lot of
Yeah, we
connections.
do.
We have a lot of connections.
Yes, indeed.
And so, what made now your major was psychology
Social work.
and
Yes.
social work. Why did you major in that?
Yeah, so I've always had a passion for just people. I've always just been friendly. I was voted
Always.
class friendly, high school, middle school, and I've just always had a passion for just people and just kind of just taking care of the community. And so that's kind of propelled me towards that sector. And then I worked for the state of Michigan for several years in that
Oh, the
capacity.
state.
Yeah.
The state.
Yes, the state of Michigan.
And then,
And then from there, I said, okay, I started presenting for the auto show. And that's kind of what kind of started the media bug, so to speak. And I've been doing that for almost 10 years now. I was doing it part time, but now it's full time as a
oh,
spokesmodel.
okay. So you do the auto show here?
Yeah, and I travel across the country.
Right.
Yeah, so I do the major one, the North American Auto Show, that's like huge. And then, of course, I travel all over to
Don't they
every
have one
state.
in Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago, New York City, LA, Miami, all over.
Wow.
Yes. So that's been really fun.
Well, I'm going to ask you this off the wall question.
Uh
Being in doing the auto show, what's your favorite car?
oh. Of course I'm gonna say who I work for, but no, I really love the Corvette. The Corvette. I actually saw one too. Now driving up
Well,
here, yeah.
our engineer has
I was
one.
gonna say I saw
Uh,
that coming into
yes.
the studio. A lovely
Isn't it
Corvette. It's
beautiful?
very nice. It's very
Beautiful.
nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
that belongs to Sean.
Okay, I saw that. So yeah, of course it was stuck out because I'm like, oh, one of my favorite cars. So I love the Corvette.
Oh,
Yes,
Lord.
and I love the trucks too. Actually, like the
Well, Eva, you're 6'1".
6'2".
You're
Actually,
60,
yeah,
6'2". She's
6'1" and
tall
a half, but I like to just round it up.
to 6'2".
Yeah,
And Eva, is how do you like getting into
yeah,
that car? Because my brother has a Corvette, and
yeah.
I hated it.
Oh
I
yeah,
felt like I was riding on the
yeah.
ground. It was dragging me
It's
on
a,
the ground.
it's it takes a minute. It's slow, but once you're in it, you can't deny it once you're in it.
And everybody, when you're young, you could just get right out of it.
Oh,
When you're
it's true.
old,
Oh
you
no.
gotta climb. It's the big climb.
Yeah, yeah, but
That's
I
why
love
I
it.
have an SUV. So
Yeah, I see. I like those too.
I
So
love
being
them.
tall, you're tall too. So
I know,
yeah, yeah.
I
I
know,
love
I
being
know.
tall. It's a good thing.
Now, Eva,
Yes, ma'am.
what made you decide to write this book, The Purpose Factor:
Uh,
Strategies to Take Action and Stay Empowered Through Purposeful Living?
Yes, it's that's my baby, as I like to call it. So the Purpose Factor was born about 2 or 3 years ago. I spoke with youth at my church about the 7 basic topics: how to be successful, focus on what you need to do, and literally after that presentation, I remember folding up the notes in the presentation and put it in my Bible. And last year, I lost my cousin suddenly. And my cousin, he was such, Thomas Toby, he was such an amazing young man, full of passion, full of life. And it literally was in his passion, in his passing, that I saw how much he influenced other people with regard to just his purpose of being here for such a short time. And I remember being in such a dark place. And I talk about it in the book. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't even read my Bible. So the one time that I actually picked up my Bible, I remember my mother saying, you got to start somewhere. And I just opened it up. And literally those notes fell out. And I remember just kind of reading about it and just kind of just remembering everything that was happening during that period. And I said, I felt so anxious, like I wanted to get something out to just tell people to be sure that you're living with purpose because life is so short. It's here and then next thing you know, it's gone. So we need to
So,
be
how
sure.
do you describe purpose?
It's doing what it is you're supposed to do as to why God made you to be here on this earth.
What about passion?
So the thing with passion, passion is very. This is what passion versus purpose. Purpose is more intentional. Passion is just you just have this drive and thirst for something. But purpose is when you're more targeted. That's sort of how I describe it. Purpose being more targeted. Passion is sort of is just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, could be because well, I see you. It seems like you have a lot of passion to what you do. And I know from the little obtuse things that I
Yeah.
do around, I know I have a lot of passion to do certain things. As far as purpose is concerned, I guess it could be purpose too. So, within the book, I mean, who is your audience?
So my audience is targeted for women, men, anyone who's feeling that okay, I just need direction, or for perhaps you might have direction and you just kind of need to stay empowered and just stay self-motivated because sometime in life you get things that happen, distractions, all sorts of stuff, and then you might get stuck in a rut.
And sometimes don't you have to just kind of clear off the table? Sometimes we hit a wall. Don't you
Yep, I
don't you think
totally agree.
we hit a wall and so we have to stop and some people I always say step back and punt
Yep.
or just chill and say wait
Pause.
a minute, let me see what I'm doing here
Yes.
cuz we juggle a lot of things in the air.
A
Don't you
lot of
agree?
things. There's so much going on in our mental space, and that's actually the first chapter is about just wait, pause, and get clear. Get clear is the title because you have to have clarity. If you have no clarity, it's really hard for you to get direction.
Sometimes it's hard, though, don't you think, when things start coming into your head? Sometimes things come all at once. Sometimes they don't come when you want
Want them
them
to
to.
come? Yes,
Right.
yes, exactly. So you have to take a moment for yourself. That's very important. Sometime throughout the day, you have to take a moment for yourself.
Right.
Dedicate that to yourself. 30 minutes, so be it. But take a
So,
moment for
how would a
yourself.
person get clear?
So first, I always say try and create some sort of solitude zone, like a place, because you can be in your living room, but if you have the TV on and you're texting and you're doing this, there's
So,
no
what did
you
you
won't
do to get clear?
during like just in general. What do I
Yeah,
do?
well, yes,
In
what do you
general,
do?
I just like quiet time. I really like quiet time. And because I travel so much, a lot of times, whether it's in my hotel or if I'm in a nice place, like a warm place like in Miami, I like to go to the beach. There's just a calmness very early in the morning. It's just there's no one really there. It's the
Right.
sun is rising. You just hear the waves. It's something about it for me that makes it very peaceful
Well,
with
there's
no
it's
distractions.
something you mentioned, and we're not going to just tell the whole book,
Yeah,
but
uh-huh.
something you mentioned in there, and I think it's very important to my audience too, and it's about planning, and planning what you're going to do. A lot of times we just jump out there with no plan.
And I have the acronym in there: planning ahead conserves energy. So that's for my mom. Shout out to my mother who said that. But
Yes.
again, if you plan ahead, it really saves a lot of time. You have to plan. With no
Yeah.
proper plan, you just be all over the place. So you have to have a very proper
Well,
plan in
sometimes
place.
people say, I don't know where to start.
You don't know where to start. Well, like I always say, um, I think I talk about like brainstorming and first of all, identifying what it is you want to do. And then I talk about like the vision board. I'm a visual person and I love the vision board because it gives me a direction. I have an
Explain to the
overall.
audience who don't know what a vision board is.
So it's pretty much a visual representation of your goals and the things that you want to attain. So whether it's you want to be married or like I had on there, I wanted to get an MBA. So I had on there things that were relating to the MBA. I had on there that I want to do philanthropy work. I had on there the map of Africa, which is where I'm from. Nigeria specifically. So again, so I have those things and I have it in a place where I can see it pretty much every day. So it's a constant reminder for myself that Eva, these are the things, these are the goals that you wanted to do, and you need to be. What are your action steps towards reaching those?
Right, right. And I know you grew up over here. And do you see a difference between the values of Africans and African Americans?
It's different. I always tell people I had the best of both worlds, or have still have the best of both
Yeah,
worlds
yeah.
of because I still go back home. I was just there this summer in Nigeria
What
and
part?
Lagos.
Of course.
Yeah, I was just in Lagos for almost a month. or a little bit under a month. And then growing up here, where I have a lot of my friends who are American. So it is different. There's differences, and then there are some similarities. But growing up in an African household, you just see some of the things that they do value as
Well,
far as.
I think parental respect is something that I've always admired about the culture.
Your elders too,
Your
people that
elders,
are older
right,
than you, even
right,
if it's like 5 years older,
right.
you still there's just a respect that you give like your
And I
people
think
that are
that
older.
that's important. I think that's wonderful. It was funny when I was on tour. I was on tour with Sister Soldier and Donna Richardson. And when Sister Soldier spoke, she would always tell the audience to respect your elders. And at the time, I mean, because this was a while back, I was, older than her, but she said, I always respect Brenda Perryman. She's my elder. I listen to what she says. Have discussions, and even when we agree to disagree. But that respect factor, I just kind of
Yeah,
wanted to
it's
bring that out because
yeah.
I think that that's another thing that's important. Also, respect for education.
Oh,
Education.
I can't. I can't emphasize that anymore. Like it's almost like a non-discussion. Like you just know the
Right.
steps. You'll be
Right.
going to university, and you'll be
Yes.
yeah. It's just
Yes.
yeah.
That's
It's just
so
what you do. Yeah,
important.
it's
And I
very important.
think with what say in here about different things, it encompasses a lot of your values.
Ah, yes,
Uh-huh,
yes.
it does. And another thing she has in here, ladies and gentlemen, she has areas for you to write after you've read the particular chapter. So you could write down, and start organizing yourself.
Your
And
own
I
thoughts.
really appreciate that. That is
So like
so
a working,
important.
yeah, and I always every time like I read a book, because I what I end up doing if it doesn't have like a little note section, I just write my own notes and my thoughts based on that chapter. So I said, okay, let me just
You're a
actually
good
have
one.
a
You're a good one. I try and remember it. I said, oh, I'm going to
no,
remember that
yeah,
next time.
no. After I've highlighted everything, I try and write little notes after the chapter. So I figured, why not put a little workbook section so people can kind of go back on what they read and then also start planning ahead.
Right, absolutely. So I think that that's a great thing that you have in the book. And a lot of times, um, you have an area that says take action, a chapter that says take action. Sometimes people are afraid to act. They have things in their head, but I'm not going to act on it, even if it's something positive that can help them. Why do you think that is?
I think people are just afraid of the unknown. But again, I think I talk about that. The first three letters in action are act. You have to act and move with intent towards what it is you're trying to do. If you don't act or take action, it'll just be remaining in the future. That
Because
thought.
all of us know that life is so short.
It's so short. It's so short based on my own testimony of what my family and I experienced last year. That just I've never lost anyone that
Yeah,
close, so young, outside of a grandparent, and it changed my whole life. It
right.
put everything in perspective.
Because this morning, a lot of people did not wake up this morning. And, God has blessed us with being able to wake up and go on with our day. And you
So how
always
do you
thank Him
see?
for another day.
I say if you have a pulse, you have a purpose and a plan. So act.
Wow, wow, wow. But, like I say, a lot of people, and you said it, fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown is one of the biggest impediments to action.
It's so crippling for people, and I get it. I get it. I've been there before. Like, okay, I don't want to do it, but you just have to try. You have to try. You'll never know if you don't try, and never live with regrets. That's just my philosophy. I don't ever want 5 years down the line, like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had written a book, or if I had done this, or if I had auditioned for that, or went out for that role, or whatever the case may be. You'll never know.
Right, absolutely. You'll never
You'll
know.
never
How
know.
would you encourage people to tackle their fear? Let's get an example of something that people may want to do, and then how they can kind of tackle that fear.
Fear is real, so we're not going to say that it doesn't. No one has it. Everyone has some form of fear. But you have to take baby steps. I talk about that too. Like, for example, I remember being fearful of, this was before I even got into my MBA program. I was just fearful of just finance, accounting, just the whole process, standardized tests and
Were you always
everything.
good in math?
I was good in math, but when it came to those business and numbers, and I was just like, oh, and then standardized tests, I was just like, oh. So for literally like 2 years, I was just taking like prerequisite courses, but eventually it came a point where okay, if you want to get into this
Oh,
program,
you got to do it.
you have to do it. Face the fear head on. And literally, that's exactly what I did.
Sometimes desperation. I remember this one class I had was so hard. The teacher wrote the book. It was just so hard. I just dropped it.
You
I went and dropped it, and then I still had to take it though before, and I saved it to the last semester,
Yep.
the very last semester, because I said, "Golly, if I don't pass this, that's it." So I was kind of forced to the wall with that one. But fear, well, my son said something once. He said, if I stayed in the backyard playing basketball, I would have never known how good I was. So sometimes we got to get out of our
Comfort zone,
comfort zone.
because there's no growth. That's kind of my catchphrase. There's no growth in your comfort zone. So you'll never know what potential you have based on your son's example if you don't get out of that comfort zone. And I think a lot of us are so comfortable in our comfort zone.
Well, where do you see yourself 5 years from today?
5 years from today, hopefully having my own network, touring the world, talking, empowering people, women, to just get out and to continue to live with purpose and married with children.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a
I
lot.
know, right? I
Someti-
got 5 years,
which
though,
is
right?
yeah. Well, I mean, which is fine,
Yeah.
because we do it, we as women. And there's one. This is one more thing
Yes,
that you
sure.
talked about in here that I think is very important about cheerleaders. So many times there are haters in the world, and you have to have people who are out there for you. But sometimes they're few and far between. And sometimes don't want to tell people what you're doing because you don't want to hear them say, don't you think you ought to wait, or
Debbie
this and that.
Downers, yeah.
Right, Debbie Downers.
Debbie Downers. Yeah, it's very important because we can't do this journey. I always talk about the journey continues. This journey, we can't do it alone. You don't live in this world alone. But it's very important to surround yourself. I can't emphasize that enough. Surround yourself with positive people. It really motivates you, and inspires you to keep going. Like you said, sometimes there could be 10, might be just two. But once you've identified those people, really make sure that you value them, value their support for you. And it's just very important to have those cheerleaders
Right, it is.
because this journey can be very taxing.
Sometimes people could be in your own family that don't, I'm not saying your family,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I'm just saying who you would expect that encouragement from. But sometimes, it's a crabs in a barrel mentality with some people. They don't want to see you rise
Rise
above.
up. It's so
But,
unfortunate.
that is very unfortunate because, God orders your steps. And so he's ordering me. I got to do it. And I always say it's a sin not to use the gifts that God gives you.
Exactly.
I do believe that. And you have the journey continues. My saying is the adventure is in the journey.
I love that.
Yeah.
The adventure
well,
is in the journey.
Yeah. Yes, I think
Yes.
so. Where
And
can we buy your book?
So you can get the book on Amazon.com. It's available on Kindle as well as hard copy. Make sure that you get it. What's also amazing too is that proceeds from the book will go towards a nonprofit during this launch period, the month of September, as we're doing our launch. It will go towards the Food Click, and the Food Click is a nonprofit organization in Nigeria whose mission is to feed hungry children and families. So as you're purchasing this, you also are giving someone else a chance and hope. So
Absolutely. Hunger is terrible.
It's
It
very
is terrible. We don't know how fortunate we are in this country.
so it's just, I don't know, it's just in me to just make sure that I did something to give back because the purpose factor, it's not really about.
But this is your
brand.
first book. I see
Yes,
many more
yes.
books down
Oh,
the road for
amen.
you.
Yes.
I do. I see so many more books down the road
Yes,
for
I
you
greatly
and
appreciate that.
speaking and get out there and I mean you have the gift. You got to use it.
Stir up the gift. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Keep it going. Keep it
Yes.
going.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
how would people reach you if they have questions?
So you can my Facebook page or my website, wEva Toby, EVATOBY.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everything. So yes, definitely reach out. I'd love to speak with all of you out there. And thank you to everyone. There's been a lot of people that have bought the book already and just kind of commented on it and reviewed it, and it makes me happy. It's good that you're enjoying it.
Thank you. It's good to see young people helping other young people. In fact, helping old
Oh
people
yeah.
too. I mean, because it's never too late.
It's never too late. It's never too
So,
late.
we'll be back in just a moment because we're going to do the television premiere of In Trayvon's Footsteps, our film. We'll see you in a moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.